320. 506. A section. Expansion. 506 epistate provision of punishment for committing the offence of criminal intimidation. It states that whoever commits the offence of a criminal intimidation shall be punished with the imprisonment of either discretion for a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine or with both. Commits the offence of a criminal intimidation shall be punished with imprisonment of either commits the offence of criminal intimidation shall be punished with imprisonment of either discretion for a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine or with both. Innovative form of alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Legal guardian of the property of Muslim minor. Following is not a legal guardian of the property of a Muslim minor. Brother. Explanation. Muslim law recognizes the following kind of guardianships. Legal guardian of the property of Muslim minor. Muslim law recognizes the following kind of guardianships. Actually, brother, which following is not a legal guardian. Father, brother, executor appointed by father. A natural legal guardian, the natural guardian of the minor order priority as follows: father, executor, father, paternal grandfather, executor father, the executor, paternal grandfather, testamentary guardian, guardian appointed by courts, statutory guardian, de facto guardian. Section. Actually, which of the following is an innovative form of alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Innovative form of alternative dispute resolution. Actually, look at the form of alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Actually, uttering of words with deliberate intention to wound religious sentiment will be dealt with. Section 298 of IPC. Deliberate intention to wound religious sentiment. 298 IPC. Uttering word against any religion, धर्म के विरुद्ध में. Article 361 provides. 361 protection of immunities to the president and governors from being prosecuted in courts. 361 protection of immunities to the president and governors from being prosecuted in courts. Article of company can be altered by. Articles of a company altered by. Under section 18 of the Land Acquisition Act 1894, under section 18, following officer is empowered to refer to matter to the court. Which of the following officer is empowered to refer to matter to the court? The collector. Section 18 of the Land Acquisition Act. Which of the following officer is empowered to refer the matter to the court? Collector. Section 18(1) of the Land Acquisition Act 1894 provides that any person interested who has not accepted the award may be written application to the collectors. Matter be referred by the collectors for the determinations of the court. Whether his objection be to measurement of the land, the amount of the compensation, the person to whom is payable, for the appointment of a compensation among the person interested. Any person interested who has not accepted. Provides that any person interested who has not accepted the award by written application to the collector require that the matter be referred by the collector. Quote, whether the objection be the measurement of the land, the amount of compensation the person to whom is payable. Any person interested who has not accepted. Under Section 18(1) of the Land Acquisition Act, following officer is empowered to refer to matter to the court. Section 81 of the Land Acquisition Act. Refer to the matter to court. The collector require that matter be referred by the collector for the determination of the court. Whether the objection be the measurement of the land, the amount of compensation, the person to whom it is payable, person interested. First, for a specific performance of a contract should to be instituted in 3 years. Article 54 of the Limitation Act 1963 provides that limitation period for specific performance of contract is 3 years. The time begins to run from the date fixed for the performance. If no such date is fixed, when the plaintiff has noticed that performance is refused. Limitation period of the specific performance of contract is 3 years. Time begins to run from the date fixed for the performance, or if no such date is fixed, when the plaintiff has noticed that performance is refused. Permanent account number PAN is defined under Income Tax Act 1961. 3 years. Special performance of contract is 3 years. The time begins to run from the date fixed. For the performance, or if no such date is fixed, when the plaintiff has noticed. लाइन मारे if no such date is fixed, तो लाइन मारी पर ना लाइन पाओ ना बेते कहला पार्टी मेले अपन देखियो ना Article 54 of the Limitation Act. बंद कर से द्वार पकड़ वैसे लिखा बंद कर दो. The time begins to run from the date fixed for the performance, sir. No such date is fixed. Notice that performance is refused. Specific performance of a contract is to be instituted in 3 years. Article 54 of the Indian Constitution. Limitation period of the specific performance contract is 3 years. The time begins to run from the date fixed for the performance. Plaintiff has noticed that performance is refused. A marriage with a woman before completion of her iddat is irregular. Actually, explanation in Islamic law, a divorced woman has to wait during the iddat period. for about 3 months before she can marry. Any marriage performed by a Muslim woman during that period is an irregular marriage, not a void or batil marriage. Between that period, section 10 of the CPC provides for stay of the suit. CPC provides section 10 of the CPC provides stay of the suit. Stay of the suit, which is prevented from being justified under section 118. Section 118 of Indian Evidence Act. 118 Evidence Act. A lunatic who cannot understand the question put to him. Extreme old age person who cannot give rational answer to the questions. A tender age person who cannot give rational answer to the question. Extreme old age person. Rational answer to a lunatic who cannot understand the question. Under section 118 of Indian Evidence Act, which is prevented. A tender is a person who cannot give rational answers. Of a contract, 3 years. Actually, marriage with a man before completion of her iddat is irregular. Explanation in Islamic law. ଏଇନା ପଠେଇଥିଲି ଯୋଉଟା ବହୁତ ସାରା ପଠେଇ କୋଉଟା କ'ଣ କ'ଣ ଅଛି ଦେଖି ରେଜିଷ୍ଟର କରିନି ନା କୋଉ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁଟ୍ ଅଛି ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ କ'ଣ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ହଁ ଭାଇ ସାର୍ ମାନେ ଏଇଥିରେ ତୁ ବି କରିଦେ Explanation. Divorced woman has waited during the iddat period for about 3 months before she can remarry. Any marriage performed by a Muslim woman during iddat period. Section 10 of CPC provides stay of suit. Section 10 of CPC provides for stay of suit. Section 10 of CPC provides Section 10 stay of a suit who is prevented. Literally ଆସିଲ being testified under section 118 of Indian Evidence Act. Indian Evidence Act, a lunatic who. Indian Evidence Act, a lunatic who. Of Indian Evidence Act, a lunatic who cannot understand questions put to him. Extreme old lunatic who cannot understand from the being testified. Extreme old age person who cannot give it rational answer. Testified under section 118 of Evidence Act. Being testified under section. A tender age person cannot give rational answer to the question. Extreme old age person who cannot give rational who is prevented from being testified under section. specified under section 118. Indian Evidence Act. Extreme old age person who cannot give rational answer. A tender age person who cannot give rational answer to the question. A lunatic who cannot understand the question put him. A tender age person who cannot give rational answer to the question. Extreme old age person who cannot give rational answers. Actually, it is prevented from being in SR President of India. President ruling explanation. Explanation. SR Bommai versus Union of India. Landmark judgment of the Supreme Court. Judgment of Supreme Court of India. Wherein Supreme Court discussed the length of provision of Article 356. SR Bommai. SR Bommai versus Union of India. 1994. Supreme Court discussed the length provision of Article 356 of the Constitution of India related to issue. The case had huge impact. Center-state relationship. The judgment attempted to curb misuse of Article 356 of the Constitution of India. 356. 356 of the Constitution of India, which allowed President rule. The judgment attempted to curb blatant misuse of Article 356, which allowed President rule. Which allowed President rules. Which allowed President rule to impose over state government. Recovery of a specific immovable property is defined as specific relief. Immovable property is defined. Section 5 of Specific Relief Act. Relief Act. Actually, 24 Advocate Act 1961. Advocate Act 1961 provides election. This question was raised by minority committee of AIB. Section 24 Advocate Act. Advocate Act 1961 deals with disqualification of enrollment of a person. Disqualification of enrollment of a person. Disqualification of enrollment of a person. Section 24 of the Advocate Act. Desirous of being an advocate under the Act. Advocate Amendment Act 60, 1973, the Section 24A. Articles of the company can be altered by shareholders by passing special resolution. Article of a company can be altered by article of a company altered by director of the shareholders by passing special resolution. Article 361 provides protection and immunity of president and governor. Convention of Climate Change was the outcome of Rio de Janeiro Conference. Convention of Climate Change was the outcome of who was protected workmen. Protected workmen. Workman who is an extremely executive office bearer of a registered trade union of the establishment or office bearer. Workman workman who is an workman who is an of the 33 of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 provides that protected workman in relation to an establishment means a workman who being a member of a executive or other office bearer of a registered trade union connected with the establishment is recognized as such accordance with rules made in this behalf. The explanation of section 33 of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 provides that a protected workman in relation to an establishment means a workman who being a member of a executive or other office bearer of a registered trade union connected with the establishment. Explanation to section. Trademark is a visual symbol applied to articles of commerce with a view to distinguish the articles from others. Trademark. It is in form of a commerce with a view to distinguish articles. Label device word. Workman who is an executive office bearer, registered trade union. Trademark. In a legal system evolved, new technique of alternate dispute resolution. लोक अदालत origin to the statutory recognition by passing Legal Service Authority Act. The Indian legal system has evolved a new technique of alternate dispute resolution. Indian legal system has evolved new technique of alternate dispute resolution, which is popularly known as Lok Adalat. Origin to statutory recognition by passing Legal Service Authority Act. It owes its origin to the statutory recognition by passing new technique of alternate dispute resolution, which is popularly known as Chapter B of the Legal Service Authority Act 1987 deals with Lok Adalat. Seven cases are related to maintenance of divorce of women. Seven case. Muhammad Ahmad Khan, Banu Begum, Sahaban Begum, year 1985. Saban case was a controversial maintenance lawsuit of which Supreme Court delivered a judgment favoring maintenance given to an agreed divorced Muslim woman. Maintenance lawsuit in which Supreme Court delivered a judgment. Maintenance given to an agreed divorced Muslims. Who can move PL in High Court and Supreme Court? Any public spirited person, any NGO association with public spirit, group of public spirited persons who have no personal interest, doctrine of a pleasure applies to civil servant, doctrine of pleasure. Explanation. Article 310 of the Constitution incorporates the common doctrine of a pleasure, which provides that all persons who are member of a defense service or the civil service of the Union of the All India Service hold no doctrine pleasure, which provides all persons who are members of the defense service or civil service of the Union hold office during the pleasure of the governor. For first constitutional amendment was enacted in 1951 first constitutional amendment. First amendment of President amending complement programs, policies of the government and overcome the judicial pronouncement. Provisional Parliament, which amended Articles 15, 19, 85, 87, 174, 176, 341, 342, 372, 376, Article 31A, inserted 9 schedule to the Constitution. Programs, policies of the government and overcome the judicial pronouncement. First amendment was passed in 1951. A person instigates any person to do an offence of illegal act, omission act. A person instigate any person to do an offence or illegal act, omission act. 107 IPC. A person instigate any person to do an offense of illegal act or omission. Attract. According to section 107, any person to do an offense or illegal act or omission attract. ऐसा है IPC. Section 107 IPC. A person instigate any person to do an offense or illegal act. Explanation. According to section 107 IPC, a person is said to who first instigate any person to do things secondly. One or more persons in any conspiracy for the doing of their thing. If an act or illegal omission takes place in pursuance of their conspiracy. Person instigate any person to do an offense or illegal act. Section 107 IPC. So first instigate any person. A landmark habeas corpus petition was filed during emergency. ATM Jabalpur and Sivakant Supra. A person instigate any person to do an offense or illegal act or omission act. 107 IPC.